to another episode of the Turnbuckle Pad. And I got something special for you because I'm back with an old friend I have not seen since the first season. I want you to welcome Dante DVS.
How you doing?
Thank you for meeting up with me again, Dante. It's been about, almost a year?
It's been about
What's been going on in the meantime?
Well, this and that, man. You know, restructuring of the company, UWC Nation. We're trying to turn quantity into quality now. It's not about trying to get all the bookings and trying to get all the workers working. Now it's about working with nothing but elitists, you know. We want to have a good, solid show, entertaining, and we want it to make sense. We want it to be quality. We get a lot of talks and a lot of negatives about UWC Nation because of the quality of the work or the workers. Hey, there's rumors that have it that it's because of me, because supposedly I was a lazy trainee and didn't manifest to the greatest wrestler in Chicago pro wrestling. But you know what? Let's all be serious, man. This is sports entertainment. We're here to entertain. You either got it or you don't.
Before we start going into more about your restructuring of the company, there's not a lot of people who really know a lot about your background. When did you start wrestling and what made you get into wrestling?
1999, PWI, Sonny Rogers was my trainer. What got me into wrestling, I've always wanted to do it. I was just looking for the opportunity. It just so happens that my brother Van at the time, he was working with a fellow team member or whatever in the job back in the days, and the team member just happened to be a trainee in pro wrestling. They had a show not too far from my house. I checked the show out. They were recruiting. I signed up and got into the business, broke into Pro Wrestling International in 1999. Sonny Rogers, Jimmy Blaze, John Burke, names like that. Kirby Big Time Duck, to name a few.
Well, how did you go from being a wrestler to being a promoter? What made you change gears?
I've always wanted to be a promoter. Back when I was a rookie in late '99 and early 2000, as a trainee, you have to go into the head of Dante DVS. I was pretty much paying attention more to what the promoters are doing in the office behind closed doors than what the wrestlers are doing in the ring. I knew somewhere down the line that's exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be one of the suckers out in the ring doing all the work. I wanted to be one of the guys in the back in the trenches getting paid, you know? That's what led to the whole wrestler transitioning into promoting. It wasn't an overnight thing. This thing took years for that. You know, I hung out with different promoters, picked up tricks of the trade here and there, and kind of added it to our own formula when I joined forces with my brother and started UWC Nation.
So when was UWC born? I mean, how did it start, and then how did it end up going into 4 years?
Okay, do you want to know how did UWC Nation start, or do you want to know the history of the beginning of the
very beginning,
genesis of the company? What happened to start the genesis of
everything,
the company?
the genesis till now?
UWC Nation in a nutshell was a mistake it was an IWC mistake. If anybody remembers IWC back in the days, International Wrestling Council, which was run by the Perez brothers. I mean, it went strong at first. It was good, and I was one of the loyal soldiers. I rode with the ship until it sank. It did nothing but hurt my career because I was having a hard time getting bookings outside of the IWC. We tried to bring that band back together, and it just didn't work. You know, with the same treachery and garbage happening, you know, going into this new IWC that we were starting. Me and Ivan, we just decided to just take the gears and control. Just start our own stuff, change the name, start our own roster, call it something else. We started UWC Nation. And sure, we thought it was an overnight thing, but we've been running 4 years and counting. So I mean, we must have done something, right?
What have been some of the struggles after developing your own roster and your own fed, as you said? What have been some of the struggles you've had with doing that, knowing that you came from a genesis that there was problems?
Okay, going into it, I didn't get the discipline that I should have when I got into becoming a promoter, because let's face it, I was learning from the promoters, but I wasn't exactly promoting with the promoters, except for maybe 1 or 2 shows prior to UWC Nation. Long story short, I didn't go in with the discipline that I needed so that I could start a nice, solid, kick-ass elite roster. I went into it feeling sorry for the boys, mothering the earth, throwing free show, training these guys for free when I should have been charging them. I mean, I did these guys a disservice. I did myself and UWC Nation a disservice. And with this new UWC idea that we have in concept, things are going to start a whole lot different than what they were when we first started.
Where do you think the problems came into play?
Basically, me not putting my foot down and controlling the guys, you know. Me not putting the basic concept that I don't need them, they need me. I'm the promoter promoting. They need to get a spot in my show. So I haven't, back in the days I would chase the talent, you know, which is not the case no more. But back in the days I would chase the talent, I would get word that they didn't make it or whatever. Now, which with the time and the shows, that kind of attitude changed. You know, and after a while, it wasn't me chasing the talent anymore. The talent was blowing up my phone to try to get a spot on one of my shows. It's just the way it was.
Would you say that was a starting point to knowing that you were starting to go on the right track when they were calling you as opposed to you calling them?
Yes, and the fact that a lot of people that were kind of comfortable in UWC Nation, when I started ruffling some feathers, then I knew I was heading the right direction. Because a lot of people that I didn't know what to do with, or didn't have either no direction or just like outside of UWC couldn't get work. These guys were pretty much eliminating themselves from the company.
I know you mentioned that you've had some problems with talent over the last few years, and again, you're free to speak your mind here. Can you elaborate on some of the problems with some of the talent you've had that might have escalated into rubbing off on other people, which probably grew into a bigger problem?
Are you talking about like heat with the boys, with something growing up in the business?
Yeah. Well,
are you talking about heat with my own talent, like issues that I've had with talents that I promoted?
Rebels in your locker room that ended up starting the uproar, that caused problems for business.
Well, you know what? My little buddy back in the days, Alex Stone, was a real big issue that I used to have. He would just talk about the kid that didn't want to fall in line, for Christ's sake. He was a cancer back in the locker rooms back in the days. I mean, I love the kid to death, but you know, he was a problem. And in 2008, I wanted to choke this kid out. He was just like the only freaking problem that I had in the whole locker room. But I mean, the kid was serious about wanting to do his thing. We patched out our problems. We got our heads straight, and we do good business together. I mean, we're still working together till this day, you know. But I mean, yeah, I mean, him among many others was a locker room problem. I've had a few, some that would try to get the boys revved up because they didn't get enough pay, or they didn't get no pay at all. I mean, pay is an issue that a lot of people would like to touch about UWC. And since you're interviewing Dante DVS, the guy that does the paychecks, if I do them at all, hey, I'm the man to talk to about that whole pay situation. I'll tell the cameras, I'll tell the world. This is how I do business, you know. If you want to do business with me, you do it. If you don't, you get the hell out. I ain't playing no games here, man. This is not for me to have life easy for you. It's for me to have life easy for myself and for me to promote a show for the general public. This is the way it goes, you know.
Do you think to a degree, though, because in all wrestling feds and even in WWE and TNA, because people put their bodies on the line and they put themselves through great deals of entertainment, some of them are entitled to pay. And so do you think there are times that you wish you could have paid them and you couldn't?
Only if we agreed upon it. Only if we agreed upon a payday. If you're coming on my show, if you're asking me for work, I tell you right off the bat what I'm going to do. I'll tell you right off the bat if I'm going to pay you or not. It's your choice whether you want to work for me or not. I mean, I'm not putting a gun to none of these guys' heads. They could talk all they want about UWC Nation. They could talk about how cheapskate Dante DVS is, Mr. Giovanni Nieves about the pays. But you know what? I never put a gun to none of their heads. Everybody that's performed for me, performed because they wanted to be there. I never forced anybody to work for me. On the contrary, they come looking for me. They come giving me the calls and the emails.
You have had some guys that came for training that actually were really good and showed a lot of promise. Do you have any regrets that they're not around anymore?
Absolutely not. The UWC door is a revolving door. It opens, it closes for everyone. This is like a Baskin Robbins of professional wrestling and sports entertainment, man. I'm going to get the 31 flavors, and I'm going to continue getting them. It's never going to get old. That's just the way the business runs, man.
Well, I'd like to touch on some rumors with you, Dante, since we're clearing the air and everything's hitting it out. A lot of feds don't like you. Why is that?
Because I tell it like it is. They could not like me because of my work ethic. But I'm gonna guarantee you, there's not a show. I don't give a care who's promoting it, but I guarantee you that there's not a show out there that I cannot perform in. You know, I mean, let's just say there's not a show out there that I won't guarantee a total freaking entertainment. You know, I don't think that there's anybody out here in the Indies that can entertain like Dante DVS. Very few. There's a few that can, and I gotta give them their head. But you know what? We're not talking about them. We're talking about me. You know. But I guarantee you that there's a lot of automatons out here that can work, they can wrestle a paper bag and a boomstick and make it look like a professional super mega star or whatever. But you know what? I guarantee you that at the end of the day, they cannot entertain a crowd like a Dante DVS can.
This is true. This is true.
You know? And I'll put that to the test with anybody. You can name anybody you want, and I'll entertain anybody more than they can.
On to the next rumor. This has been circulating around for the last few weeks. This is another reason why I wanted to come meet up with you and talk to you, is because I wanted to come talk to you personally, face to face about this. I've been hearing a lot that UWC is no more.
Well, that's a bad rumor. The whole situation with UWC Nation is just wanting to cut the old fat and wanting to start something fresh and new. New logo, new roster, new everything, new website, new everything. You know, we want to start fresh. A new direction, everything more marketable, more people friendly, more in your face as far as media and production as well.
Is there anything different you would do with your new fresh start that you kind of learned from before?
Absolutely. I will no longer give any more free rides. That is a disservice to anyone who wants to join this business. They should pay their dues. You know?
Golden words, golden words. Well, Dante, do you got anything else you want to add to this? Or anybody you got something you want to say something to? Because the time is yours.
Well, sure. You know, Dante DVS is right now taking bookings. Anyone wants to book me, and I'm here to entertain you. But for all of you haters out there in the pro wrestling world, let me tell you something, brother. I've been here for 12 years, and I'll be here for another 12 or as long as I want to. When I leave this business, I'm going to leave on my terms, not yours. As a promoter, as a performer, I don't care. You name it, I do it, and I'll do it better than you can. You know why? Because I'm Dante DVS.
Well, Dante, we really thank your time, and I thank you. I can't wait to see UWC start with this new fresh start you're talking about. I also got to thank you for allowing me to come into the business and start the Turnbuckle pad. It's a very big thank you to you. In the meantime, fans, you heard it from the mass body of seduction?
Weapon of mass seduction.
Oh, weapon of mass seduction, I'm sorry. In the meantime, fans, you heard it here, live on the Turnbuckle pad. Peace.